Believe it or not, there are those days when I get out on the water and I just can't catch fish. Nothing I do works. I try every lure in the tackle box, every technique, and I just can't get bit. On those days, when the emergency happens, there's one go-to technique that I break out that nearly always bails me out of a jam. Coming up this week on the show, we're going to reveal what that technique is, how you can use it, and we're coming to you from a lake that I've never been on before in my life. Coming next, it's Fox Sports Outdoors.
It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southeast region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors Sports South.
Well, as promised on today's show, I'd like to introduce you to one of the most effective ways to catch a fish that's ever been invented. It's a trolling technique. That's right, engaging either the trolling motor or the outboard motor, or in some cases, even a paddle to help you move your boat and catch a fish. Now you might be thinking that's the most boring way ever invented to catch a fish, and you might be right. But there are some subtleties, some techniques involved that we're going to talk about in the next half hour that will help put you in the right spot and get your bait in position where you can get the most bites possible. And when you go to catching fish, hey, does it really matter how you catch them? Now, in order to help us do that, I'd like to welcome you into a lake that I have never been on before, and I've never fished here. This is a lake in West Texas, just north of Abilene, Texas, called Fort Phantom Hill. Now, the interesting thing about this lake is that back during the drought over the last 5 years, this lake literally nearly dried up. But with the big rains and the big floods, the spring of 2015, the lake is almost back to normal. And hey, I hear the fish have been biting. I have not talked to anyone who's fished here. We're just gonna go out there blind, see what we can find. While we're doing that, we're taking you around the region for your latest fishing reports from our team of insider reporters. The next half hour is gonna be a lot of fun, and it all begins right now with your weekend planner.
Hi there, everybody. According to the Solunar tables, this should be a really good weekend for fishing. Saturday's game fish activity is predicted to be excellent, while Sunday is forecast to have some of the best conditions of the month. The peak daylight hours should start around noon on Saturday and 1 p.m. on Sunday. Expect sunrise to take place at 7:18 in the morning, with sunset happening at 7:19. And Sunday will showcase a full moon, so evenings should be bright. We'll be right back with all of the current fishing reports from around the area. And I'll return with 2006 Angler of the Year Mike Iaconelli to answer your Ask the Pro question. Back in a moment.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Tracker Boats. It's more than just a boat, it's a tracker. By Costa Sunglasses, see what's out there. By Mercury Marine, official outboard of Fox Sports Outdoors. And by Lowrance Electronics. Find, navigate, dominate.
We've made it out onto Fort Phantom Hill right now, and we're trolling around a little bit, getting started. And I want to talk to you first about location, because of all this water out here, where do you choose? Wow, we're coming across some fish right now. Where do you choose to troll? Not just anywhere. There's one right there on my other bait, on my other rod. He's got it. I'll kill this engine, put this rod down, and we're hooked up already. All right. You never know what you're going to catch doing this. You could catch a largemouth bass, a smallmouth bass, a walleye if you're in an area where there are walleyes. Up in Arkansas and Oklahoma, you could catch a striper, a hybrid striper, a white bass. Almost anything will bite when you're trolling like this, but you've got to be in the right spot. A lot of people think you just get out in the middle of the lake and just start aimlessly trolling around anywhere. Not true. You've got to pick your spot. Oh, that's a little hybrid striper right there. All right, come in here, buddy. Where you fish is absolutely critical. I want to show you a quick shot of the location I chose. It's going to be a ledge. It's about 15, 16 feet on top of the ledge. Actually, it goes up as shallow as about 10 feet, and then it drops off in the main channel here at Fort Phantom Hill into about 35 feet of water. And there's you a nice one right there to get it started. Long and skinny. Back he goes, buddy. perfect spot for hybrid stripers. They can hang in that deep water, run up and feed on that ledge, run up shallow if they want to and feed, and then run back to the safety of deep water. You've got to find a good location. Riprap is always great. The dams of many lakes around our region, prime trolling territory, long skinny points that run out in the lake. You want to find a feature, get on the drop off of that feature and experiment around with the depth. That's the location you want to find to catch whatever species of fish you'd like to catch. And again, you never know what's going to bite. Let's get you some fishing and lake reports to get things started this week.
This part of the program is brought to you by MirrOlure, the right tools to catch them. From topwater plugs to subsurface models to deep running lures like the deadly Heavy Dean. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a MirrOlure. Fishing is turned on throughout many areas of the Gulf Coast. With this cooler September weather, you can just feel it. Along the coast of Mississippi, tuna fishing has really kicked off. These are both yellowfins and blackfins. You got to really pick your weather days because of this unstable fall weather. But when you can get out there, the fishing is outstanding. They're around these offshore floating oil rigs. Some of the yellowfin tuna are huge. Some of these fish are going well over 100 pounds. The anglers will try to run out there early in the morning, be there around the rigs, these way offshore rigs, right at daylight, and that's where they're catching the yellowfin in that low light condition. They're drifting and chunking, and when they're chunking, that's what brings up the bait fish and also the tuna, and they're catching those big yellowfins chunking that way. While they're doing that, they're jigging with butterfly jigs and catching blackfin tuna that are that 10 to 15 pound class. These are nice blackfins. In Alabama, my good friend Jake Marquis is catching plenty of slot redfish inshore. He says falling tides in September is outstanding for these slot fish, using live mullet on a sliding sinker rig. Well, that's it for the Southeast Coast. Get out in the water, take a youngster with you when you go.
This week's freshwater fishing update is brought to you by Liberty County. Located in scenic coastal Georgia, Liberty County offers the Dorchester Shooting Preserve, 2 marinas and public fishing piers as prime locations for your hunting and fishing trips or outdoor activities. Escape the ordinary and visit Liberty County, the right blend, www.libertycounty.org. Now, over the next few weeks, temperatures are going to moderate in the south, and this makes for pleasant fishing. And nighttime chills are going to mean less insect activity. This heralds the season for swamp fishing. The Okefenokee Swamp covers 700 square miles to the south of Waycross, Georgia, and it gives you a real wilderness fishing adventure. The swamp looks like bass habitat, but those fish are rare here because of acidic water. What you do find are panfish like warmouth perch and flyers, and a lot of chain pickerel. These pickerel are the top predators. They love the shallow lily pad filled waters of the Okefenokee. These toothy fish are attracted to flashy beetle spins and rooster tail or panther martin inline spinners. Keep the lures moving fast, it'll get you more strikes and hook up on less weeds. Now get the fish to the boat in a hurry when you hook them because there's lots of hungry gators in the Okefenokee. For some similar low country action for bass and bluegill, head over to Alabama's Mobile-Tensaw Delta. Or you can try out the backwaters of South Mississippi's Pascagoula River for similar fishing.
Hey everybody, we're still out here trolling on Fort Phantom Hill today, north of Abilene, and talking about trolling techniques. Trolling right now about 2.8 miles an hour. Pull that boat out of gear, kill it. I've got 2 rods out, and wow, that's a good pull. The next thing you need to identify is how deep the bait is and how deep the fish are. We talked about location, finding where those fish are. Secondly, it's really, really critical that you find out how deep the fish are in the water column. And we're out here in, we're anywhere from 16 to 24 feet deep right now. And these fish seem to be at about maybe 14, 15 feet, something like that. Come here, buddy. There's a good hybrid for you right there. Long, skinny fish. Let him go back. And so what you got to do is have about 3 different rods, or 4, rigged up with different depth baits. You can start off with a real shallow runner, you want a medium runner, and then we've got 2 different levels of deep runners. I've got one that'll run 16, 18 feet deep, and I've got a crankbait that'll run 20, 22 feet deep. So you've just got to experiment around, find out the level that the fish are holding, put the crankbait at that level. And the other thing you've got to do is make sure that you're going the right speed so that that crankbait achieves the depth you're trying to achieve. So I want this thing about 14 feet deep. And I've learned that if I go 2.7 miles an hour, I can keep that bait right about 14 feet in maybe 16, 18 feet of water, and that's right where the fish seem to be. Here's more fishing and lake reports for you.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Tennessee and Kentucky Fishing Report. Look, we've had some beautiful weather in the Tennessee and Kentucky region over the last week or two, some really cool nights and some just wonderful days. And what that's done is just really cooled down the shallow water, and it has just supercharged the shallow water fishing. Anywhere where the fish have been in the summertime, just go to the nearest shallow bar, shallow grass line, shallow bank even, and find where the bait is. And right now, it's about topwater baits, it's about spinner baits, and it's about swim baits. Let me show you what we caught just a second ago on a topwater bait out here on Kentucky Lake. This fish was, we were fishing down this bar, saw a big shad jump, and I turned and threw a big old topwater bait out there and walked it over there, and this is the kind of fish you can catch right now. And guys, it's gonna be like this from now until winter time. And the deal is, just get out here, anywhere, Tennessee and Kentucky right now, it's all doing the exact same thing from east to west, north to south. Get out there, go early, but don't put that topwater bait down, even when the sun gets high. So guys, look, just get out on the water, enjoy yourself, and we'd love to see you out here. God bless.
Wow, I want to give you just one more little piece of information here. You really need to control your speed, as I mentioned earlier, and there's two more ways to do it that I've not mentioned yet. One is with your throttle. I actually have a hot foot control on my Nitro Z8. Whoa, man, that's a hard pull. But what you can do is you can just use your throttle and kick it in and out of gear. So you can go in gear, speed up a little bit, get your bait down where it needs to be, kick it out of gear, let it coast a little bit. So kick that outboard engine in and out of gear. The other thing you can do, good grief, that's a hard pull, is use your trolling motor. Go up there and get on your trolling motor. They call that strolling, but you can actually go even slower if you find a spot where there's fish and you want to go back and forth across it real slow, you can do that. Come here, buddy. There we go. I had my other line in it, but as I said, just use your trolling motor, slow down, ease back and forth across the spot. And a lot of times you can catch several fish off of one area if you'll just work it real slow like that. Two more ways: use the throttle, use the trolling motor, troll both ways, control your speed, catch you a bunch more fish. Stay tuned, we are coming right back. Just north of Abilene, Texas. Fort Phantom Hill, hybrid stripers, coming back at you.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Buy Lose, setting a new standard of fishing performance. Feel the difference. By Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland Lures. With our baits, a good day of fishing is in the bag. And by Stren Fishing Lines, the standard of dependability.
You know, the cool thing about trolling along like this and catching them this way is you can actually see them on your sonar before you drive over them with your crankbait, so you pretty much know when you're going to get bit. There's one right there. Just like that. What a cool thing. Let's kill that. Bite this fish in. All right. I'm going to get this fish in, and then I want to explain to you a couple of little equipment details. Come up here. That's going to be another hybrid. Whoa, strip and drag. Big old hybrid. There, I've got him. All right, there's a good hybrid for you right there. All right, that's a big fat daddy right there. We'll let him go back real quick before he stresses. If you want this crankbait to achieve the right depth, you've got to use the right size line and the right kind of line. Here's what I mean. The smaller diameter of the line, the deeper the crankbait will go. And I mean a lot of difference. Huge difference between 10-pound line and 20-pound line as to your depth. So you have to experiment around. And if you're trying to get it to really dig deep, you want to use 10 or 12. If you're fishing in relatively shallow water like I am right now, I'm only in 16, 18 feet of water with a big deep diving crankbait. I can get away with a little heavier line, so I've got 17 on here and it'll still get all the way down to almost the bottom where those fish are. You want to use fluorocarbon line like Stren Fluorocast if you want to get the bait down the deepest you can. Fluorocarbon line is heavier than monofilament. So if you're using a lipless rattle bait for shallow fish and you want that bait to stay up right in the top part of the water column, then you want to use monofilament line. It's more buoyant. It'll hold that bait up. Fluorocast for depth. Stren Original is monofilament line, the best made, and it'll help keep that line closer to the top. Here's more fishing reports for you.
Hey folks, time for your Carolinas report, brought to you by Marshall's Marine, located in Lake City and Georgetown, South Carolina. We're your bass boat leader since 1969. For all your nitro and bass tracker needs, visit www.marshallsmarine.com. We're going to stay in the freshwater side of things, and last week I got up, did some striper fishing on Lake Murray with Captain Jason Bennett of Jason Bennett's Guide Service. We had a great time fishing with blueback herring on those fish when 30 to 40 foot of water, fishing in 70-foot depths. The water temperature is starting to cool down on those lakes. Those fish are going to start moving up into the shallow water and getting the pattern, chasing that bait as the water temperature drops. Also, we had a great time in the early morning, late afternoon, targeting the stripers on top water as well. In the upstate and down on Clark's Hill, we're hearing of some real big stripers being caught right now. Get out with some live bait, slow troll with planer boards. You're going to catch some big fish this time of the year on those lakes. Also, Lake Watery is saying that they are having a great time right now catching crappie. On all those piles of debris that you can find out there, get out with live or artificial and have a great time catching some big slab crappie this time of the year. This has been your Carolinas report, sponsored by Marshall's Marine. Remember, fish smarter, not harder, and keep your chaos organized.
Whoa, 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 good grief. You want to be sure your drag is set when you're trolling. Make sure and loosen your drag where you can pull line out like this, because if one of them hits it, he will break your line, break your rod. Here he comes. There's all kinds of bad things he can do. Good fighter. All right, well, it's been a wild day. We've caught a lot of hybrid stripers. Didn't know what we were gonna catch today, but wound up catching some really good hybrids. Back that one goes, thank you, buddy. All right, we'll be back to show you all the baits and everything else. Hopefully we've given you several tips that will help you catch some trolling fish next time fishing conditions are tough. We'll be right back.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Exide AGM Marine Batteries. Starts like new, stays like new longer. By Motor Guide Trolling Motors. Introducing the XI5 for ultimate boat control. And by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time for your Ask the Pro question. This week, Dave wants to know, what are some good ways to get a child interested in fishing? We checked with 2003 Bassmaster Classic champion Mike Iaconelli for the answer.
The biggest tip is actually the first experience I want to talk about. And you know, that first experience, it's hard, especially if you're a dad or an uncle or a brother and you're a hardcore fish head like we are. You want to go out and you have a tendency to want to fish hard and crank and jerk, but you know, that first experience, getting a kid hooked, is about the fight. And you know, that could be with live bait, that could be a spin cast, it could be a bluegill, it could be a catfish. You know, that's the most important thing. The first experience, make it fun, catch a fish, have a fight there on the other end. I don't care what it is, it could be a carp. That first experience, it's all about the fight. That's what gets kids hooked.
Thanks, Mike. If you have a question for one of the anglers, please visit our website, follow the Ask the Pro link on the right side of the page, and let us know. Now, one of our viewers is about to win a new pair of sunglasses on the Costa Catch of the Week.
Each week here on the show, someone wins a free pair of Costa sunglasses in the Costa Catch of the Week contest. This week's winner is Rob DeZoba of Chapin, South Carolina. Rob is showing a 24-pound striped bass he caught at Lake Murray in South Carolina. If you'd like to enter your big fish picture, just go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. On the right side of the home page is the Costa Catch of the Week area. Click in that box, follow the instructions, send us your photo, and you could be our next winner. If you'd like to see all of the Costa frame and lens styles, you can go back to the front page of our website, click on the Costa logo. You can see all of the frame and lens styles there, including the beautiful frame style that I was wearing on this week's episode. This one is called Harpoon. Next up on the Academy Right Stuff, it's the right gear to troll for whatever species of fish you'd like to fish for in your local lake. And it really all revolves around a great crankbait rod. You're gonna be trolling crankbaits, you've gotta have the right rod. And this is the Lew's David Fritz Perfect Crankbait Rod. It's a speed stick rod. It's everything you would ever want in a crankbait rod. It's 7.5 feet long. It's got lots of flex in the top half of the rod, lots of strength down in this end. Fight those fish without them being able to throw and pull those little crankbait hooks out of their mouth. Now, I've got several different crankbaits to show you laying on the deck of my boat, beginning with the shallowest runner. That is the lipless rattling crankbait, top left. It'll only run about 4 or 5 feet deep. To your right of that is gonna be a small crankbait that'll dive about 6 feet deep. Next, down to the middle left, that one goes about 8 feet. The one to the right of that in the middle goes about 10 to 12. And the big one at the bottom goes anywhere from 15 to 20 feet deep. You need several depths to scout out these fish. Back in 1990, my wife and I were parents of 6 and 5-year-old children, and we wanted to be good parents, but we really didn't know how. Those kids didn't come with a manual. We ran across a book called Parenting with Love and Logic. It was written in 1990 and updated in 2006. It talks about all the different parenting styles, which ones work and which ones typically don't, like helicopter parents who hover over their kids and protect them from all of life's consequences, or drill sergeant parents into power and control who demand that their kids act a certain way all of the time. Most of the good books out there talk about training those kids to make good choices and then stepping back and allowing them to either suffer the consequences of their negative choices or reap the benefits of their positive ones. I can attest that my kids are now 29 and 30 years old, and after all this time, they have turned into responsible adults capable of making good, solid life choices. If you're the parent of small kids, I urge you to get just such a book, read it, put those principles into practice. Hey, don't forget to join us for next week's episode. We'll be on in our normal time slot at 6 p.m. on Thursday with the repeat airing Sunday morning at 8:30. And you can always see the latest episode of our show on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. And it's up 24/7 in full HD. Our website is now mobile friendly. It will resize properly on any kind of a device, whether it be an iPhone, Android, tablet, or full-size PC. You can always get the latest fishing news, videos, photos that we don't have time for here on the show on our Twitter feed at the Twitter address you see on your screen. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and you'll have a chance to win some great prizes that we're always giving away there. And we're up on our Facebook page as well. Look at the address, like us on Facebook, and you'll also get lots of good fishing news. I hope you enjoyed our trip to Fort Phantom Hill Lake north of Abilene, Texas, but don't forget, the same principles that we talked about here catching these hybrid stripers will work for many species on almost any lake you'd like to try it on near you. Give it a shot. I hope you'll catch lots of fish trolling like we did today. From Abilene, Texas, in the western part of the Lone Star State, until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.